Prototype Mark I. During the Unification Wars, Imperial engineers realized the qualities that kept miners alive in engine shafts could also keep soldiers alive in combat and could be a good replacement for standard power armor. Commonly called Exo Armor, Mk1 started as a mining and engineering suit designed to resist radioactive reactor cores and the crushing pressure of deep void salvage operations. The engineers took industrial Exo Armor and they weaponized it by bolting ceramite plating over a high-pressure industrial frame and slapping it onto weapon mounts. On the battlefield, the Mark I was effectively unkillable, and mere bullets from small arms just bounced off it like rain. But for the warrior inside, it was a different kind of nightmare as the suit was so massive and you couldn't even turn your head. If you wanted to see who was shooting at you from the left, you had to rotate your entire torso. Mk1 was a cage of slow, exhausting metal, driven by fiber bundle muscles that were still glitchy as the prototype of Terminator Armors. Prototype Mark II. If the Mark I was a Terran experiment, the Mark II was a Martian refinement. Though conceived during the Unification Wars, it wasn't completed until the Martian Accords formally united the Emperor with the Mechanicum. This allowed the Proto-Astartes to step onto the battlefield backed by the Forge World's superior industrial might. The Mark II was built from the same ceramite plasteel composite as the Mark I, but the internal systems were upgraded thanks to Martian engineers. They integrated the first functioning Auspex arrays, feeding environmental and tactical data directly to the wearer, called Sensorium. They also fixed the life support and the fiber bundle musculature, bringing power draw down to something the reactors could sustain under combat conditions. But the improvements came with new failures as power systems remained dangerously unstable under sustained fire. Joints were stiff enough that warriors adapted their fighting style to the suit's limitations. Some sources suggest the Thunder Warriors served as test pilots, and early Mark II testing required a second team standing by to extract test subjects from suits that shut down mid-trial, a job that carried its own casualty rate. Prototype Mark III. This model was refined when the Great Crusade started, with the Mechanicum's tech priests still fixing glitches during testing. It was worn by the earliest Space Marine legionaries, making it the first Terminator suit that can be called a Legion weapon. The fiber bundle musculature was completely rebuilt, finally making the wearer more mobile with a range of motion and expanded sight through an upgraded sensorium. But the true game changer was tucked inside the frame, the first functional teleportation transponder. This tech turned a slow-moving tank into a lightning strike, defining how Terminators would fight for the next 10,000 years. Early teleportation was a roll of the dice, and displacement errors meant a warrior might suddenly appear half-fused into a stone floor, a death sentence with a 0% survival rate. The engineers were quick to modify it through the horror, stabilizing the tech until the risk became a calculated gamble. The Mark III never saw mass production, but it proved the concept. The Cataphractii. This suit made its debut during the Great Crusade, which spanned the late 30th and early 31st millennia. It quickly became one of the first Terminator patterns issued to the Space Marine legions and the Legio Custodes. Although they were quite rare before the Horus Heresy, some legions managed to get more of these suits, with the Sons of Horus and Iron Hands leading the charge. Warmaster Horus was a supporter of the Tactical Dreadnought Armor project, which helped the Luna Wolves become one of the first legions to use them. The Cataphractii boasts a large, slab-like layered pauldrons that house extra energy shield generators. These generators create a tactical displacement field around the wearer. The suit also includes pterygies that protect the elbow and thigh joints. Underneath the armor, Fiber Bundle's synthetic muscles manage the heavy weight using the same core system found in every Terminator pattern, but here it's pushed to its limits. Unlike the Mark III, the Cataphractii was specifically designed for Legion deployment rather than just for prototype testing. The shield generators pushed its survivability beyond anything the prototype marks achieved. However, these generators put a constant strain on the exoskeleton, which could slow the wearer down to a dangerous degree. The power demands were too much, and the suit's bulk made it difficult to handle and reload most existing weapons. This led the Mechanicum to create weapons specifically tailored for the Cataphractii, including combi weapons and the Reaper autocannon. The Tartaros Pattern. Developed during the final years of the Great Crusade, this pattern was designed to be the apex predator of Terminator technology. It solved the one problem that had plagued the project since the Mark I. It finally gave a heavy metal giant the ability to run. The Tartaros is a masterclass in cross-platform engineering, even though it still shares the helmet and arm systems of the Maximus plate. Its torso architecture draws directly from the Contemptor Dreadnought. The result is a suit that weighs several tons but moves with a fluidity and burst speed that no other pattern can match. It can endure blasts that are 100 times more powerful than an Astartes frag grenade, all without the exoskeleton strain that made the Cataphractii's shield generator failures. However, this perfection comes at a cost in terms of manufacturing because the Tartaros was the most complex and resource-heavy suit the Imperium ever attempted. And when the Horus Heresy shattered the galaxy's infrastructure, the forged shrines capable of building it were the first to burn, which effectively put an end to its production for good. By the 41st millennium, the Tartaros is a dying breed, an ancient relic reserved for the most elite veterans of the First Company. Not even Archmagos Belisarius Cal has been able to replicate the manufacturing process behind the most advanced Terminator patterns, and the knowledge has simply been lost to time. The Saturnine Pattern. This one-of-a-kind suit made it into the Imperial records during the late Unification Wars, appearing in only small numbers before it fell out of favor in the early Great Crusade, simply because Saturnine was just too complicated to mass-produce. Primarch Vulcan reverse-engineered the design and shared it with every legion, and the first use of this revived pattern happened on the black sands of Istvan V during the Drop Site Massacre. What sets the Saturnine apart from all other Terminator patterns is that it wasn't crafted on Mars. Instead, it originated from the secretive tech enclaves of Phoebe, Saturn's ninth moon, run by a Mechanicum subsect that had been exiled there during the Age of Strife. This is the heaviest and most advanced suit ever built. Its downward curved pauldrons do more than just bounce off shells. They also house thermal diffraction fields and pulse dampening lattices that make the wearer virtually invincible to anything short of a Titan-scale weapon. The helmet is buried deep within the chest cavity to eliminate weak points, and its internal power stacks allow the pilot to wield weapons like plasma bombards and heavy disintegrators. Plus, the teleportation synchronizers in the pauldrons allow entire kill teams to appear right inside enemy fortifications with pinpoint accuracy. Despite its power, the Saturnine was a dead end since its manufacturing requirements were so extreme, and the psychic attunement needed to pilot it so rare that it never became the Imperial standard. The Indomitus Pattern. As the Horus Heresy cut off the supply lines and burned Forge worlds, the complex manufacturing of the Cataphractii and Tartaros became impossible to maintain. The Indomitus was the only solution, a rugged, easy-to-produce design. Built from the same foundations, it has rounded shoulder pads and a distinctive helmet inspired by a long-gone Terran canid. On the left shoulder, you'll find the Crux Terminatus, which is said to contain a piece of the Emperor's own battle armor. It's a suit that trades peak performance compared to the previous ones, but it's the only pattern the Imperium can still mass-produce. One notable drawback, though, is that the helmet is pulled back so deeply into the chest that the wearer cannot turn their head, creating blind spots that enemies have taken advantage of for 10,000 years. The Gorgon Pattern. This model was forged on Medusa, the homeworld of the Iron Hands, under Primarch Ferrus Manus and his team of Iron Fathers right at the beginning of the Horus Heresy. It was created to boost the Legion's depleted stock of Terminator suits. However, it never made it beyond the Iron Hands. No other Legion ever got to use it, and tragically, Ferrus Manus met his end during the Drop Site Massacre on Istvan V before the Gorgon could be perfected. The Gorgon is a variant of the Indomitus, but it takes a bold turn as the field generators embedded in the armor were completely swapped out for experimental conversion systems. These systems convert incoming electromagnetic and kinetic energy into bursts of electrokinetic light. When the suit takes a hit, it retaliates with a blinding flash that can incapacitate anyone nearby. The drawback is that this process bleeds heat and toxins at levels a human body cannot survive without extensive cybernetic modification. Worse, the bonding is permanent, and the wearer is sealed inside for life, existing as something closer to a dreadnought occupant. The Arkonak Pattern. In the Imperial Archives, the Arkonak Pattern is a ghost, and it is listed in Imperial records as a rare pattern of tactical dreadnought armor, and almost nothing else is confirmed. No technical specifications have been made public, and all of it sits behind the same classification wall that surrounds the chapter that hoards it. Mysterious and rumored to be the personal enforcers of the High Lords of Terra, the Minotaurs possess an improbably vast inventory of these suits. While most chapters treat a single Terminator suit as a holy relic, the Minotaurs field Arkonak plate in massive numbers, often alongside other extinct technology. How they came to possess so many suits of a pattern almost no one else fields is not officially explained. What is known is that the Minotaurs have a documented practice of taking relic wargear from chapters they have defeated, and that their relationship with the High Lords of Terra circumvents Imperial bureaucracy. Whether these suits are a secret gift from their masters on Terra or trophies stripped from defeated chapters remains unknown. The Aegis Pattern. While it uses the Indomitus pattern as a physical blueprint, the Aegis is manufactured with a process that would be considered heresy by any other Forge world. Every plate is inscribed with micro-etched protective wards, and the entire internal frame is webbed with psychoreactive filaments. What sets the Aegis apart is that the suit is designed to harmonize with the Psyker warrior inside, creating a shroud that protects the wearer from the corrupting influence of the warp. It allows a Grey Knight to stand in the presence of greater demons without their soul being shredded by the Immaterium. This makes the Aegis incredibly difficult to produce, as each suit is a ritual object, purified and blessed at every stage of its construction. Because of this, it is never found outside the 666th chapter. The Aegis is the only Terminator pattern that is spiritually locked to the Grey Knights, and if an unauthorized user attempted to power the suit, the feedback from the protective wards could potentially liquefy their brain. The Aquilon Pattern. Back during the Great Crusade, while the Astartes legions were busy perfecting their heavy plate armor, the Emperor personally oversaw the upgrades to the Cataphractii frame for his elite custodian guard. The result was a suit that upgraded the already incredible feats of his golden warriors. The Aquilon stands out as being noticeably larger and sturdier than any Astartes design. Its internal structure was completely reimagined to suit the superior physiology of the Custodians, with high power capacitors and advanced cooling vents that resolved the overstrain problems seen in earlier models. Each suit is custom crafted for its specific wearer, and the Aquilon was carried by the Theranatoi, a specialized group within the Custodes known for their shock assaults and siege warfare tactics. This usually meant they were involved in breaching actions and zone mortalis operations, which are the most intense close-quarters scenarios where even the Custodes appreciated a little extra protection. When it comes to weaponry, Theranatoi are armed with Lastrum Storm Bolters, Solarite Power Gauntlets, Infernus Fire Pikes, and twin-linked Adrathic Destructors, devastating disintegration weapons that are so powerful they're reserved solely for the Emperor's household. The Allarus Pattern. 10,000 years, the Custodian Guard stood as silent protectors of Terra, bound by a decree to watch over the Emperor's throne. But when Robotay Guilliman finally lifted that order during the era Indomitus, the Custodes needed a suit for rapid deployment across a fractured galaxy, and the Allarus Pattern completes that evolution. Unlike the heavily fortified Aquilon, the Allarus is all about speed and agility. It's powered by advanced magnetomic generator shrines and uses Leonis-class actuators, giving it an impressive range of motion. The armor is crafted from layers of auramite and adamantium, a legendary alloy that outshines any Astartes ceramite. This means a warrior can move with a predatory grace, all while shrugging off the impacts of macro cannon fire. Each suit comes equipped with a thought-activated ballistic grenade launcher seamlessly integrated into the left forearm. The Codex boldly states that it's arguably the most effective man-portable combat armor in the Imperium. This completes our deep dive into the evolution of the Terminator Armour. Click here for more videos like this, and see you in the next one.